I never made a video explicitly on China and U.S. relations, but I think, with the recent events, if you have or have not heard, it's kind of prompted me to assess and kind of look at what our current state with China is really all about. So I guess I'll just address the most recent news. Um, China has released their own version of a sort of a chat GBT. This is not surprising in itself. China's been notorious for copying our software ideas, whether it's a WeChat, Instagram kind of thing, a WhatsApp kind of thing, their own payment services like PayPal and such and so forth. They are notorious for censoring their people. And yeah, but what's the real shocker about this deep seek AI, I think they call it, is one, how very accurate, not accurate, but how robust it is. I think that's a better word. It's very robust, given that it uses way less resources as the current AIs found in America. Think ChatGPT, think Gemini from Google, or Copilot from Microsoft, which all use the same open source technology in America. And this is shockingly alarming because this, a lot of people have compared this to a Sputnik type of moment where a communist country who's considered our main predecessor has beaten us at our own game. Now, is this a bigger deal than Sputnik? I don't really think so. I mean, it's AI after all. It's still in its very beta stages, and in many ways we're going through our own little AI bubble similar to the dot-com boom. But this should be very concerning for Americans. And, Trump came out and said, he said, we want to prioritize, American manufacturers. We know that we have the best and the brightest here in America, but, instead of tackling it that way, he goes further to say that, hey, we have too many factories, semiconductor factories in Taiwan. Now, if you didn't know, 98% of all the semiconductors used to run these AI programs and these servers come out of Taiwan. We have a very good deal with Taiwan, a comparative advantage, a little economics for you with Taiwan, where we design all the software, we design all the chips and the programs and the technology, and Taiwan follows suit and takes care of that on the business end. But Trump's concern now is he wants more manufacturing of semiconductor chips in America, if not all of the market in America. And I can understand where he's coming from. When you're talking about pure human ingenuity, I don't know, I don't know the answer either. I would agree that, hey, we need more manufacturing in the States. 98% market share in Taiwan is absolutely absurd. But, implementing tariffs, is that going to help it? Beats me if I don't know. He did implement tariffs with Colombia. I mentioned briefly in my previous video about how the state of Colombia, the country of Colombia, was not willing to accept all of our deportees. Trump raised tariffs, and they finally complied. Now, I understand using tariffs as a military tactic, but there's only so much you can do when, the end goal is not to do a tactic militarily or policy-wise. Rather, it's just simply outbeating China. So we'll see where that goes. Hopefully, America and NVIDIA and all these companies put up their big boy pants. Hopefully, H-1B visas continue to prosper and we hire the top talent across the world to really hone in and dominate, because it would not be good to have China as the leader of AI. Not only is it bad for our economy because they're our main competitor, of course, but the technology that comes out of their country is very, very terrible, in the sense where they will collect everything, every keystroke, every movement, everything you put in, everything, your IP address, where you're typing from. If you are ever concerned or looking into experimenting with deep seek, I would please advise you to proceed at your own risk. I cannot put into words how much data is being collected and given to the Chinese Communist Party. So please, please, please proceed with caution. Most of you who don't really care, fair enough. go right ahead. But I think many of you understand that ChatGPT is doing the same job for you, so there's no need to peer into the Chinese side of things. And with that being said, does the TikTok ban bill cover DeepSeek? It does, but that's up to Trump's prerogative. I think it's only fair that if China's not going to allow our apps, our infrastructure, our technology, like Instagram, Facebook, whatever, Twitter, then it's only fair that we do the same thing. Now, I have my own opinions about the TikTok ban bill, the TikTok divestiture bill, whatever you want to call it, that I disagree with for other reasons. But I do agree with the fundamental principle that Chinese spyware is a national security threat. Now, with that being said, if you want to talk about China as a whole, they are our biggest foreign adversary, and we should not at all underestimate their power and capability. Because here you have what's different between them and the Soviets is that they are completely and utterly focused on, being an exporter of goods, conquering, sea trades, routes, trading areas, land, maritime, areas, all these sort of things. And on top of that, a lot of people don't understand this, that China is responsible for the fentanyl epidemic in America. A lot of the goods, a lot of the materials that get used to make fentanyl in your southern American countries like your Venezuela's or your Honduras's or what you have, that all of those products, all of those materials get distributed to them by China. And in some instances, China is directly shipping fentanyl-like substances, horse tranquilizer, these sort of drugs that are already coming in within the markets. And you see that heavily in areas like Philadelphia, Chicago, San Francisco, and such and so forth. I digress, but you're actually seeing now competition between people who are selling this Chinese directly made drugs, competing with Colombian gangs or drug cartels who are pissed that they can't sell their product and people are buying straight from China. But that's besides the point. You have these national security threats. You have this increased fentanyl pouring into our country, and they are the source of it. And on top of that, you have so many Chinese groups and trusts and things of that buying land in America, buying agricultural land. Everybody knows land is king. And so these things are all concerning, and it's like, these sprouts of danger that, quite frankly, not a lot of people are talking about. I mean, right now, since it's fresh and it's new, this whole DeepSeek AI thing, people are going to talk about it. But I hope that this does not become quiet. And I think Democrats and Republicans, fortunately, come to a consensus that Chinese threat is very imminent and it's very dangerous. With that being said, how to tackle that, that's up to debate, right? Do you want to use tariffs? Do you want to just ban apps outright? Do you want to give tax cuts to American technology companies, right? Those are a bunch of things that will be up for discussion. And since this is all prime and new, I'm going to push myself back from commenting. I just really want to see how this plays out in the coming months, what the Trump administration does. And then maybe later on I will give my opinion as to what might be the best way to move forward with this. Because you want to uphold the values of free trade and all these things, but when you're not only your national security threat, but your drug epidemics, and even now it comes out that it's a common consensus that COVID-19 was due to a lab leak in Wuhan, China. Right? These are unacceptable from the United States perspective, and yeah, China is definitely plotting something bigger than most people realize. But that is not to also underestimate the power of American spirit and American, power. I think we do still have the opportunity to prove to the world that democracy and upholding good moral values will lead the charge into the 2030s. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy your day. Stay away from DeepSeek.